Augusta Free Press Podcast, Virginia Football Wrap Up. I am Jeff Fife, your host with Scott German. Scott, we're sitting here at Scott Stadium, and we got a little bit of a cloud cover now after a pretty fantastic sunny day here for Wahoo fans, which started out semi-entertainingly enough with them having a hard time just getting into the stadium.
The new security systems at the gates caused a real back jam, backlog, whatever. And it looked like for the first quarter, the UVA offense was having trouble getting into the stadium. They were they were getting beat on the offensive line. I sat here and lamented to you, you probably got sick of it, that we were just getting beat. We were making silly mistakes. It looked like the off week was no good at all to us. We just looked very anemic out there. And you know what? Coach Mendenhall made some changes right there at the middle of the second quarter. He didn't wait till halftime. Not sure exactly what he did. We'll find out maybe in his post-game comments. But boy, a tale of two halves.
Yeah, it really was. And as the game started, you got some cool pick sixes. Virginia and Duke exchanged gifts to each other, and you thought, what type of game are we going to experience? And you're right. I'm sitting here listening and watching as the offensive line was just kind of just getting pushed around. Duke's defense was in our backfield pretty consistently. And then you're right, it turned somewhere in that mix in that late second quarter, that final drive, and then we put together back-to-back scoring drives. How important is this type of victory on our home turf for Virginia and their confidence in the upcoming ACC slate?
Oh, it's absolutely critical. We commented during the game, this could be the biggest game that Virginia's had in football in 10 years. And I know that sounds like hyperbole or whatever, but, you know, if you follow Virginia football as extensively as Augusta Free Press does, as we do, I challenge you to find a game that was bigger than this, because you win this game, and you do the simple math. It takes 6 games to get bowl eligible. Not that going to a low-level bowl game is that all benchmark, but it is for this team. It takes 6 wins to get to that bowl mark. You win this game, and you've got 4. You've got 7 games left to win those final 2. And all of a sudden, those next 3 games on the schedule, if you look at the schedule, those next 3 games at North Carolina, at Boston College, at Pitt, well, heck, even home against Georgia Tech, those are all winnable ball games. You lose this game, and all the confidence that you may have built up by beating Boise State on the road on a Friday night on Smurf turf out there on their home field, that kind of goes down the bathtub drain. But winning this game and you building upon a tremendous amount of momentum going into a game next week at Chapel Hill that's very, very winnable.
It seems like this was also a character-building game for the Hoos. In the fourth quarter turn, we had a pretty critical 4th and short. We turned the ball over on downs. Duke gets the ball back. A little bit of momentum going into the 4th, and they get a quick 3 and out. And now Virginia gets the ball, and you leaned over me and said, well, we really need a ball control, clock-eating drive. And we watched Virginia convert 3rd down after 3rd down. That 4th quarter, it felt like Morgan Moses was back on the field again. And he was, but just not wearing the helmet and the orange and blue. How important was that drive, and what type of character building did you see out of this UVA team here today?
Well, we have pretty good seats. I think we probably have as good a seats as anyone in the entire stadium. And I watched that Virginia sideline, and I honestly saw the confidence just in the swagger that the players had on the sideline. They, at that point, I really believe was the turning point of Virginia football. I'm not trying to make some major point out of something that may not be major. I think that drive may have defined this 2017 season. That's how important it was.
Yeah, I have to agree. I was curious to see what type of team was going to show up and if they were going to man up. And it seems that some of Mendenhall's tendencies are starting to come out in the toughness of this team that we just really didn't see against Indiana, and we didn't see much of in that first season. Let's talk a little bit about the crowd and the environment. It felt like at times when the 3rd down plays were coming up and Virginia was on defense, like I was watching a basketball game when the shot clock was going under 10 seconds. speak a little bit to the crowd and their influence on this game, specifically the fourth quarter, and how does this crowd noise compare to what you've seen in the past several years, now Mendenhall and London before it?
Well, the announced crowd was disappointing, 38,000, slightly under 39,000, in a 63,000 seat facility. So you do the math, there's a lot of empty seats. But the ones that were here were loud, and they were enthusiastic. And on those critical third down plays that Duke faced, that 38,000 made as much noise as I've heard when there's 63,000 in this stadium. And, you know, I follow the Baltimore Orioles a lot, very, very passionate. And a lot of nights, their attendance at some of the midweek games aren't real great. You know, they're 12, 13,000, that 48,000 seat building. And over, the manager of the Orioles, Buck Sowell, was often asked, were you disappointed in the crowd? Were you disappointed in the attendance? And Buck, and I'm sure if you ask Coach Mendenhall, this is kind of his philosophy. This might be his same mentality. We're not playing for the 25,000 empty seats. We're playing for the 39,000 fans that showed up. That's all we could do. And it's going to take a while. You know, we talked about it during the game. It's going to take more than one very impressive road win over Boise State to erase 10 years of, let's call it like it is, bad football. It's simply bad football. It's going to take more than that to erase that. But a win today over a good team, a good Duke team. I'm not saying Duke's a great team. They're certainly not in the Clemson level. They're probably not in the Miami level. We saw that last week. But this is a good, solid Duke team that in years past would have probably beat us. Although now we do have a three-game winning streak.
Now we can start that streak against the Hokies. The game here today, let's take a look at the offense and defense. We knew going in that Virginia's defense was going to be stout. It seems to be the foundation of this team. And all of a sudden, when the offense comes out of nowhere against Boise State, it's found a vertical aspect to it. You referenced at the beginning of this podcast, the offense took as much time to get in the stadium as the fans did. How would you grade out after 4 full quarters what that offense looked like?
They did the job. They did what, considering how well the defense played, the offense did not lose the game. They managed the game. But this game was clearly won on the defensive side. And you can just look at the final stats that we hold right in front of us right now. Duke had 176 total offensive yards. That's after 3 quarters. But still, even after 3 quarters, Jeff, 176 total yards. They held Duke in check the entire game. 255 total yards. You hold an explosive Duke team under 300 yards. And not only the yardage, but some of the sacks in critical moments, some of the holes on third down. This game was, I think, won on 3 fronts. We'll give the offense credit. The offense didn't lose the game. The offense managed the game. The defense did a phenomenal job, and you, I believe, awarded the game to the UVA punter. So, tell us what the punter.
Yeah, that Coleman kid was just crazy. I mean, he had 5 punts over 50 yards. And every time it seemed like Virginia's offense may have stalled a little bit and wanted to pin Duke back a little bit. And only one of those bounced in the end zone. So getting 8 total punts, an average of over 50 yards per punt, sign that kid up to an NFL contract here in the coming years. But what a weapon on special teams. And I'm not sure we didn't have to see the field goal kicker. So that's a good thing sometimes.
Well, and again, Coach Mendenhall realizes his inefficiencies in the kicking game. He knows that. It's not a secret. He managed the play calling, the offensive play calling, was cognizant of that, and you could see in certain situations they weren't playing for a field goal. They were playing for a first down to keep the drive going. Back to the defense. In my eyes, the defense tossed a shutout in the second half because You take away the kickoff return of 76 yards after UVA seemingly had put the game away at 28-21. Defense comes out there and has to stop Duke at the 14-yard line. I hold that on special teams. I hold that accountability to special teams. In my eyes, the defense pretty much played a flawless second half.
Now Virginia's 4-1. They've got another, well-rounded victory, back-to-back games where the offense, defense, special teams, and the coaching staff, you have to give a nod to for both the gameplay that they put together with Boise State and their game plan, and then the sort of adjustments that they made here in late into the second quarter and the second half for getting Virginia's offense moving a little bit better and a better push. That offensive line seemed to be lost in the first series of drives, and in the end, it felt like Ellis was just a hot knife through butter when they needed to continue to drive that ball and churn up some yards and eat some defense. And we haven't seen a beef eater offensive line for quite some time. Is this the next personality that we get to see coming out of Virginia? And what do you expect to see both Chapel Hill coming up next week and the next couple ACC games with this Virginia football program?
Continuation of what we're seeing, and this little comment's gonna go out to Chris, who's away on assignment, as we shall say, doing big time work.
That's right. He's on ESPN doing VMI.
We talked earlier in the week on our podcast about the game at Boise State, watching the transformation of this Virginia team going from waiting for something bad to happen to waiting for something good to happen. And you saw it today. And only a few times did I sense, okay, and I even blogged about it once, this game could be out of hand after 28-14 because I keep forgetting Mike London's not coaching this team anymore. And then, of course, insto presto, they take the kickoff by 76 yards. So be careful what you ask for. But this team, it's the confidence. They're starting to believe in themselves, and it's apparent that you didn't see a lot of mistakes out there today. You didn't see too many men on the field, having to call timeout because they couldn't get the play off. I mean, it's those little things that add up to winning 28-21 over Duke as opposed to losing 28-21 to Duke.
Yeah, and Banker did a nice recovery because the only mistake that we probably did see was his sort of rolling out and scramble and weak toss out into the flat that got undercut by McDuffie and returned. But he played pretty smart thereafter. All of Virginia playing a little smart. If you would have asked me the over-under and given me 3 as an over-under at the beginning of the season, I would have taken the under. And now we're already at 4-1. So Who fans have a lot to be excited about. It's hopefully you'll see a little pickup of a couple thousand each game of folks getting out of their gardens and coming back to Scott Stadium and see if what I hadn't seen for quite some time is the UVA chants after the game. The team making the rounds, the Ripken-esque.
I've quoted on the blog the players took a victory lap around the field, and then I put should they, and the next blog I had damn right they should. Yes. They deserve it. This program, this team, if you think about the seniors, juniors, they haven't seen a lot of success. And this is essentially still the same group of players that fumbled their way to 2 wins. And I'm not piling on Coach London. I think he was a fine gentleman. But clearly, they left him in place too long. And you could see the confidence in this team completely void after even last year. But now it looks like these players are buying into Coach Mendenhall's system. Because, again, these are still the same players that won 2 games for Mike London, that won 2 games last year, with the exception of Benkert, who is developing into a very, very reliable quarterback at the major college level. So it'd be hard to argue that this success isn't largely on Coach Mendenhall's shoulders.
2 big games, back-to-back, Boise State, and now Duke. See if UVA can continue those trends. There'll be some more columns, wrap-ups, and game pieces on Augusta Free Press as Chris and Scott are going to be breaking down North Carolina later on in the week, and Chris will be posting a game wrap and a column on the future looking a little bit bright for Virginia football for the first time in quite some time.
And you know what? We're not really thinking about basketball season yet.
Which is amazing. I thought about basketball today just with the volume of the crowd, thinking, wow, it feels a little bit like we're in JPJ with the shot clock coming down. Well, it's been a great day, and I appreciate the pinch hit for Chris as he's doing his ESPN3. Scott, it's been a pleasure sharing this game with you and this energy for Augusta Free Press. For Scott German, I am Jeff Fife, and stay close to the AFB. For the rest of you UVA sports throughout the week and month and year, take care.
Excellent.